So one of the things I want to talk about next is the consequences of operating your life in the absence of core values.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The way I'm thinking about this right now is Donald Miller has like the 7-part framework of storytelling. And I'm going to butcher it off the top of my head, but it's like you're introduced to this character. The character is presented with a problem. The character then meets a guide. That guide helps them navigate the problem they're experiencing. And then the guide provides the character a process to successfully accomplish this problem. And there's 2 outcomes. There's success and there's failure. And I believe that's kind of where we're at right now in this conversation is if you are the character and you meet a mentor, you meet a guide, and that guide provides you this insight to say you need to establish core values in your life because it will guide every aspect of your life moving forward. If you fail to establish core values, this is what's going to happen. If you succeed in establishing core values, we will then talk about what's going to happen. Now, there are always exceptions to the rule. So someone might be listening to this saying, well, my friend John has no core values in his life. He's never identified these things. He makes a lot of money. He's super happy in his life. He has a great marriage. His kids respect and trust him and love him dearly. That's great for him. But I would argue that that is the exception to the rule. There's always going to be exceptions to the rule in every aspect of life. And everyone loves to reference the exception because the exception challenges the status quo of what is consistent. And if we operate our life in the absence of core values, let's talk about what can happen. Because I have met many people and when I finally realized how important core values are, it makes it very obvious to who in your life or who in your circle, who in your environment has not identified their core values.
Yeah.
And that's a dangerous person. Like we were talking about before we started recording, that is a dangerous person to be around because they are unpredictable. You don't know what is guiding their decision-making process. Are they guided one day by financial incentives? And then the next day after going to church, maybe it's a Monday morning, they're guided by biblical reasoning in faith in God. But then by Friday, they're out at the bar and making decisions that are completely against what they believed the prior Monday. I don't trust being around a person like that. It is dangerous. It is unpredictable. I want someone who is consistent and rooted in values. And I don't know about you, but like I now can identify people in my life who do live their life based off a set of core values and who do not, or who don't value core values.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it does. It is kind of strange how that lens kind of turns when you start to identify that. I feel like it's even too demonstrated for people who just have a great sense of safety. I think there's just something about and what I mean by that is there's just a home sense with them. It just seems like either talking with them, decisions they make, the way that the hobbies they have, the books they read, or the people they surround themselves with just have this uniting sense where it feels safe to be around them. Because I think that's what ultimately that can do, is having that core value belief system is ultimately, in a way, a safety mechanism to ultimately ensure that I am on the road that I'm trying to stay on, and that a lot of these relationships in your life are mile markers, kind of just continually proving that which it's a mile marker for a road, but is it the road that you've set yourself to be on?
Yeah.
But it does feel like it's easier to, I don't want to say easier, but you do become more aware of who are people that actually, so many of their decisions make sense. You hear something somebody did, or you hear something, you're like, oh, that sounds like that totally makes sense. Mm-hmm. You're just so in line with what it is that they're living for and doing. even down to something small, like they went there to eat. It's like, that makes total sense that they went there. It's just, you just start to get a greater sense of understanding of this person, and so much of what you learn about them makes sense. But like you said, if there isn't that, it just kind of seems like you'll start to see certain things in people, or you'll see decisions, or you'll see posts, or you'll see something that's like, I didn't really see them going there or doing that.
Yeah.
And maybe because that was based on in the moment decision. That was a feeling. That was acting on a feeling. That was acting on some sort of emotion that influenced them to do something in some form or some way. And that, again, that's dangerous.
It's very dangerous. So talking about the absence of core values, I want to really lean into suffering. And
that's a great topic.
I did a lot of prep, and I spent a lot of time in my own thoughts for this episode. And I kept thinking about the value of suffering, and that suffering is inevitable. We are going to experience suffering in life, which is not a bad thing. Sometimes we choose our own suffering, and then sometimes we are presented with opportunities of suffering that we did not choose. For example, we can choose to sign up for an ultra marathon or a race and put ourselves through this really hard, challenging preparation and experience, race, competition, and suffer through. It's painful. It hurts. We start having moments of self-doubt, and we can grow from those moments and those opportunities. And then there's times where things happen in our life, unforeseen circumstances, tragedies that we end up suffering through, and that we then are responsible to trust God and know that He is having us suffer for a meaning, even if we can't identify it or understand it in that moment. So as I was trying to think about all of these things around suffering, I reached out to Pastor Lyle Phillips a few days ago. He was my pastor when we were living in Nashville at Legacy Church. And I just sent him a voice message. It's like, Pastor Lyle Phillips, I want to talk about suffering in the context of core values and the consequences of operating your life in the absence of core values, and the importance of having meaning and applying meaning to suffering. And he sent me back a few things. If you don't have core values established or defined in your life, then when you go through moments of suffering, whether you've chosen them or they've chosen you, it's really hard to identify meaning. And suffering without meaning is wasted time. It's wasted potential. Much of this entire episode is very biblical. It's really hard to talk about core values and suffering and meaning and all of these things without referencing the Bible. I mean, it is so biblical in every sense and aspect.
Even because too, the essence of, as a believer in Christianity, the essence of Christianity is Christ likeness. And so if that is the essence of that, so many of your embodied values that are special to you want to go there, want to mimic that. So I agree with you. How it almost feels like they have to be in alignment. It's almost hard to not be.
I mean, the reason that Christ was able to be so consistent and predictable and challenge all these people who were against everything that he was for is because his core values were so strongly rooted. And they were so unique and special to him that even when everyone else argued against it, doesn't matter. These are the foundational principles that he believed in, that we should believe in.
Yeah.
So why in what sense ever should we try to conform to what everyone else is telling us to do when it is completely misaligned with our core values and his core values?
Yeah. And even too, most of the time when you think about times where he spoke or corrected something, it was almost seen as a societal shift. Like, what do you mean? Like it almost flipped things on it. He was very good about flipping things on its head and almost repositioning people to think about something dramatically different. And that's sometimes, I think, what people with core values can speak into you. Mm-hmm. They can almost flip certain things in you on your head and start to make you think, wow, what actually is important to me? What actually is the way? I think there's something to that. There's authority. I think that's the word I'm looking for. It gives you authority, I think, to speak into other people.